We've submitted a request to delegate to our Social Services Subcommittee on July 15th. We planned to request a final report from our now expired 10-year housing and homelessness plan and address the soon-to-be-renewed one, advocating for the development of an affordable housing plan, which, by the way, Stratford currently lacks, that includes a proportionally mixed income approach. A commitment to maintaining our current definition of affordability was the third ask on our list. At the time of this taping, our request has been denied. We're concerned that redirecting our request away from a public forum may have the effect of limiting transparency and public engagement in a critical planning process. This raises important questions about how the community will be meaningfully included. Regardless, we will deliver our recorded delegation comments to each councillor on the Social Services Subcommittee, as well as the Director of Planning and our Manager of Housing. A record of your letters helps us amplify your voices now and during future delegations.
We urgently need a robust, comprehensive, affordable housing plan, which is something Stratford currently lacks. Following Collingwood, Orillia, and Simcoe's successful examples, our plan must explicitly embrace a proportionally mixed income approach, integrating various affordability levels into every development. Secondly, maintaining Stratford's clear federal definition of housing affordability as 30% of household income is crucial. This definition ensures our solutions are meaningful, practical, and genuinely affordable for Stratford residents, protecting our community from mounting pressures of really high housing costs.
About 30 years ago, our governments began shifting their responsibility to house people onto the private sector, relying heavily on for-profit developers to do housing. Many of these developments included inclusionary zoning, but with 25-year sunset clauses. Those clauses have now expired. Here we are, living with the consequences. And yet, we keep turning to the same broken model that helped create the crisis, expecting different results. As Jason Davis has delegated in the past, we don't have a housing crisis. We have an affordable housing crisis. It is arguably the single most important issue for governments, especially at the municipal level, where you all serve. A few months ago, Climate Momentum hosted Franz Hartman from A Livable Ontario. At that Five Ways Home Mixer, our Director of Planning seemed to suggest that our community lacks the political will to implement innovative, affordable housing solutions. But let's be clear, these solutions aren't groundbreaking or new. They've been working in communities large and small for decades. And if there's a lack of political will, it's not on our side. Just look at Stratford's community socials. Look at the hundreds of signatures on SAHA's petition. How many delegates have spoken in the past month alone, calling on the city to meaningfully move the needle on Stratford's affordable housing crisis? Right now, there are 148 people on our by-name list of homeless residents. That likely doesn't include many of our provisionally housed, people who are couch surfing, sleeping on air mattresses, or staying in overcrowded, unstable situations. In the last 10 years, the number of people on our rent-geared to income list has more than tripled from 180 to 600. We have currently 582 people on Ontario Works, which I believe provides less than $500 a month towards housing, and according to our Manager of Housing, 1,055 Stratford residents are living at core housing need, meaning they are either inadequately housed or paying unaffordable housing prices. I know many of us are spending over 50% of our income just to keep a roof over our heads. If national averages are any indication, the actual number of Stratford residents in core housing need is likely closer to 2,400, so this stat may be significantly underreported. Too many in our community are struggling. We can't get up. We can't save for retirement. We are facing a future of having to work until we die, if we can remain well enough to do so. We are not okay.
I'd like to highlight some practical examples today from Collingwood, Simcoe County, and Orillia, communities that are comparable to Stratford and that show actionable pathways for addressing housing affordability in an effective way. So Collingwood, a community much like Stratford with a vibrant tourism and culture sector, recently adopted an affordable housing master plan targeting moderate income households, so those earning between $47,000 and $109,000. Their plan includes strategic use of surplus municipal lands, updated zoning policies, faster approvals, and meaningful incentives, which all are tools Stratford can and should adopt. Similarly, Simcoe County's Attainable Supply Action Plan, or Housing ASAP, clearly defines affordability thresholds for their missing middle households, and it explicitly calls for municipal policies such as zoning reforms, financial incentives, and public land inventory transparency, creating the conditions for effective mixed-income housing development. I also want to highlight Aurelia specifically, as their recent initiatives demonstrate clear and concrete municipal action that Stratford can emulate right now. So Aurelia has embraced an affordable housing incentives policy that strategically leverages city-owned land, so providing grants for land purchase, planning, engineering fees, and even targeted parking reductions specifically for affordable housing. And their strategy explicitly ensures housing affordability aligns with recognized standards, with rent at or below 80% of market rates and home ownership costs never exceeding 30% of household income. Moreover, Aurelia received $4.5 million from federal housing accelerator funding to pre-zone city lots, accelerating shovel-ready affordable projects. They're using these resources for innovative housing solutions like converting large, underused homes into smaller, more affordable multi-unit residences. Additionally, Simcoe County's new mixed-income Aurelia campus offers 130 units for seniors, families, and singles, so that provides an integrated, community-driven example of proportionally mixed-income housing. So these three examples have shown how municipal leadership can directly address affordability challenges. And with your leadership, we can use some of these examples to increase our land transparency and to explore strategic zoning incentives and clear affordability targets to effectively tackle our housing crisis. Thanks so much for your continued commitment. SAHA looks forward to partnering with you to create housing solutions that truly meet the needs of our Stratford community.
We understand that the Planning Department is currently considering changing our city's definition of affordable. Our petition calls for the city to retain the 2019 official plan definition, which aligns with the federal standard. Housing costs should not exceed 30% of a household's gross income. In contrast, the provincial definition considers housing affordable if it costs up to 80% of market value, a very different and often less accessible standard. For those of us with lived experience in this crisis, any definition of affordable that isn't tied directly to our incomes is meaningless. And any housing strategy that uses a definition of affordability that is tied to a capricious, ever-shifting target of market housing prices is deeply problematic. Past delegations have highlighted how devastating it would be for our city to offer incentives to developers based on the provincial standard. We also want to flag how harmful this change would be in current and future negotiations with private for-profit developers. We are currently in negotiations with Pole Quality Homes, who has been awarded what are likely the last 2 parcels of land we own in exchange for building and managing just 8 affordable homes in a 27-unit build. Affordable for whom and for how long remains to be determined. If you support our petition urging Stratford to continue defining affordable as housing that costs no more than 30% of a household's gross income, sign it. And even if you've already contributed your voice, we encourage anyone concerned with rising housing prices to ask their counselors to continue advocating for us to retain our current definition. In the past, the City and Social Services have argued that because we receive affordable housing funding from the province and have failed thus far to secure funds from the federal government, it is necessary to amend our definition of affordable to match the province's. There are a couple holes in this argument. 1, since 30% of most household incomes is less than 80% of current market value, our current definition shouldn't make us ineligible for provincial funds. 2, our lack of success accessing federal funding is likely due to the fact that Stratford hasn't taken most of the steps recommended by the feds to be competitive when applying for funding. If we did, we'd likely fare a lot better. Our housing needs assessment was recently completed, and we are grateful to the city and applaud them for this critical step towards unlocking federal funds. There's much more we can do. SAHA intends to spend the summer breaking down the federal government's recommendations to municipalities seeking funds for housing, evaluating which of these recommendations we've fulfilled and where we still fall short of their guidelines. We are encouraging residents to contact the Director of Planning and interim CAO to share your concerns and urge our planning department to take these steps recommended by our federal government to increase Stratford's competitiveness for affordable housing funding. We can go much further. These next steps will cost us very little compared to the significant federal funding they can unlock. If you choose to send a letter, please CC us at our email. We can track how many of you are speaking up and what you're saying. Everyone watching this video, breathe. And again. Take a moment here to check in with your spirit and ask yourself, borrowing the words of Ken's recent delegation, in your heart of hearts, what is going on here? We have a right to participate in decisions about our future, and we deserve to not only be heard, but to meaningfully contribute to the development of plans that directly impact our well-being. As I've said before, whether we elected you or not, we pay your salaries. You are our representatives. It is not just your responsibility, it is your duty to act in our best interests, especially when it comes to protecting and ensuring our basic human rights, one of which is housing. And we are not okay. Anyone who lives or works in Stratford and is worried about the rising costs of housing, this is your wake-up call. Do not go back to sleep.